When plans were announced to build a new mosque and Islamic Culture Center in New York, some people were outraged. And this was more than bigotry and anti Islamic sentiment. Their issue was about the proposed site, just 2 blocks from Ground Zero. Opponents said it was insensitive and a disgrace to those that died on 9/11. Supporters said it was a time to heal those wounds and pointed to the constitutional right to freedom of religion. Either way, this house of worship has turned into a house of controversy and one that has both sides very fired up.
The scene? A recent rally in downtown Manhattan against the planned mosque.
I want to welcome all you patriots, infidels, Muslims of conscience, Christians, Jews, Zoroastrians, who are standing up for what's right. Americans.
USA! God bless America! And God bless America and all the people that are here. God bless you.
Why am I against it? Because it's a holy place. My mother was killed there. You can't have the people who killed her worshiping the reasons that they killed her there, right there. That's crazy. It's unacceptable. It can't be.
Tempers and emotions ran high.
No, I'm talking. You are talking to me. You are talking to him.
And all Muslims not terrorists. I'm Muslim. I'm not terrorist. You can't blame.
I did not say. I did not say that.
There are bad people all over the world.
The terrorists are Muslim. I know you are a nice person. Some Muslims are nice people, but 95.
Praying for these people who died here. They are Muslim. They are not terrorists.
I think it's pretty obvious what we feel, but I want to make sure that people understand what we don't feel. We don't feel racist. We're not bigots. All we are is being sensitive to the people that lost family and friends here. And if it was Jews that did it, we would say don't build a synagogue. If it was Christians, we would say don't build a church.
And here is the source of all the controversy. An unsuspecting old Burlington coat factory, the proposed home for the new mosque called the Cordoba House. On the day we visited, 2 men were already praying, even though work on the mosque has hardly begun. Scenes like this infuriate people like Paul Sipos, a member of Community Board 1 in Lower Manhattan. He is opposed to the Cordoba House.
I just don't understand what their thinking is about this. Why don't they reach out to the family members? Why don't they reach out to the people who are interested in this, in what happens down there, the people who are most sensitive to this area?
Would it be a reasonable request to build this culture center further away from the World Trade site?
It's not that people object to a cultural center. It's the mosque component that people have a problem with. That there would be religious services there, so close to a site where people feel like Islam is responsible for murdering 3,000 people. I just think to build a mosque at that site is insensitive to the memory of the people who were murdered that day there.
What are you really saying when you say that these people are not allowed to worship 2 blocks from the World Trade Center? You're saying that their religion is evil, and that's not true.
Herbert Owita was on the 77th floor of the World Trade Center on September 11th and made it out safely. He lost his son Todd that day, who was working on the 105th floor. Despite his terrible loss and through all the pain, Owita is in favor of the Cordoba House.
I don't condemn 1 billion people who follow the Muslim faith, even though my family suffered a terrible tragedy for which I have the pain today, and I'll have the pain all my life in the loss of my son Todd. But even though I have that terrible loss, I don't like to take my anger and my hurt and make things worse for my grandchildren and my children.
Is it insensitive to build this culture center so close, just 2 blocks away from the World Trade Center site?
I think it's insensitive to deny people their religion beliefs. I think it's insensitive to tell people that because there were 19 crazies, part of your Al-Qaeda or whatever, that all Muslims ought to be condemned and considered terrorists. That's what I think is insensitive.
For an inside perspective, we spoke with Iman Mujadid Shah. He is the leader of the neighboring mosque in Tribeca, which he says is overflowing. The Cordoba House will give parishioners an alternative mosque, he says, and will also serve to educate.
I think it will be a gift for every person that lives in Tribeca and around the country that just comes and visits the World Trade Center and then maybe wants to come and see, maybe an art exhibition of Islamic art performance, or even other tourists to come and find sort of this treasure box, where they could sort of interact with Islamic culture.
I was at the rally yesterday. I saw the anger. I felt the rage. What do you have to say about that?
I think, again, it just goes back to communication. I think Americans are very reasonable people. And I think, they're educated. And I think if logically it can be addressed to them that this is something which has both a practical purpose and aligns with basic American values, I think that hopefully the anger will be pacified.
Yesterday you demonstrated the freedom of speech. What about the freedom of religion?
Yeah, I think freedom of religion is important, but I think, religion is something which is present to have harmony, not to create disharmony. So in that sense, if it is something that is, breaking up people and creating rift, then I think it's better not to have it. Because what's important is to have harmony amongst people.
Encouraging words, but for some, not enough. At the opposition rally, speakers like Pamela Geller say that a true measure of healing would be for Muslims to acknowledge their part in the attacks and to respect the World Trade Center site as holy ground.
Ground Zero is a war memorial. Ground Zero is a burial ground. And the moment of truth has arrived. It is unconscionable to build a shrine to the very ideology that inspired the jihadist attacks at Ground Zero, right there.
But away from all the hype and posturing, a sobering thought from Herbert Owita.
I think I understand a lot of things about what they feel. I know what I feel, my own personal loss. I try not to judge everybody. I don't want to say that this is just prejudice. There's deep emotions. They're rampant emotions. Anytime you do anything down at the site, at Ground Zero, you're going to have that. It's just going to be. I understand it, and I don't agree with it. It's just they're hurt, these people. They're hurt. That's why they fight like this. What they really want? They want their loved ones back. But it can't happen. It's not going to happen, not in this life.